This is the original letter that Charles Manson wrote to Marilyn Manson on September 2012. You can see Charles Manson's handwriting. I want to make you see something. To Marilyn Manson. The name of his foundation, ATWA. Later, I will read you the whole content of the letter Uncut. And there is a question. Did this letter contain a curse to Marilyn Manson? Marilyn Manson, the shock rocker? You will discover later. I think that most of the people of the world know who Marilyn Manson is. I mean, the shock rock Marilyn Manson band, and his leader, whose real name is Brian Hugh Warner. But for the few who don't know some facts, and for everybody, this is necessary. This is a very young Marilyn Manson.
Christian school, Brian moved to a public one, although it was already in Florida. He graduated in 1987. He was a complicated kid, but bright. He had a sharp mind. It was not difficult for him to get a job in the local media as a music critic. There, he wrote articles, interviewed stars, and did other assignments, combining the positions of reporter, journalist, and critic. In the same year, the artist met the actor and later his friend, Johnny Depp. Marilyn interviewed him for the newspaper. Later, he would say this meeting radically changed his life for the better. They remain best friends to this day, supporting each other. Depp performed at Marilyn's concert and starred in his music videos. Once, he even gave Marilyn a house when the musician bought his own. What caused such a generous gift was unknown, but the artist boasted that he had 2 houses, which was quite good. Manson also gave Depp peculiar gifts. For example, he gifted him a breast prosthesis, in which he was photographed for the cover of his 3rd album. In recognition of their bosom friendship, Depp faces, fake smiles, fake words. A strong desire appeared to speak out in Marilyn's mind. He had already formed his opinion. He could write poetry. He understood the musical sphere. Skills would come with experience. Those who follow his career know that Marilyn, even in his best years, did not always perfectly cope with the technical component of performance. Due to the periodic failure to hit the notes and bad pronunciation of words, music publishing houses did not hold back, throwing accusations like, he would not have achieved anything if it were not for the debauchery at concerts. If it were not for the debauchery at concerts. But the truth is that the concert show program is only a small part of the global idea. Now, first things first. In 1989, Brian Hugh Warner became Marilyn Manson. Everyone has long known that the pseudonym is a combination between 2 other. Explained that by the desire to maintain a balance, the status quo. He took part of the pseudonym from Marilyn, whom the world adored. The other part was taken from Charles, whom the world hated.
I'm nobody.
It would seem that everything is so simple. Not really. This is only at first glance.
Well, it was a commentary on the creation of celebrity. And so then it does sort of wrap itself into a snake eating its own tail in a way. That you put them on the same level. Marilyn Monroe on the cover of Life magazine, Charles Manson on the cover of Life magazine. I think that has not changed at all in American culture.
The idea of names does not seem so straightforward and looks negative towards the media. The gist is that people need sensations, and it doesn't matter whether it's a screen star or a maniac. The main thing is to have a loud headline. Charles Manson, at a certain point, became the most popular person in America. But that's not all. Kids. The guys were immediately noticed by Trent Reznor, the creator of another, more famous rock band, playing in the genre of industrial, 9 Inch Nails. At first, Manson and his team were their opening band. In 1994, Trent offered the guys a contract with Nothing Records, and also allowed them to open the 9 Inch Nails show. All this contributed to a serious increase in the popularity of the Marilyn Manson band. The young group took full advantage of Reznor's kindness. The guys started to shock the public very quickly. For example, the frontman was awarded the title of Reverend by the Church of Satanists when he tore up a copy of the Book of Mormon on stage during a show in Salt Lake City, Utah. The young team quite quickly got a devoted fan base. People are divided into two types. One likes me, and the other is stupid.
And now, I make you see something unlosable. Because many people, to tarnish his reputation, stated that he did human sacrifices on stage and shit like this. And instead, look at this.
Put on real shows, based on the debauchery and cruelty inherent in our world. Shock rock is a general term for artists who combine rock music or heavy metal with live performances that emphasize shock value. Performances may include aggressive or provocative behavior by artists, attention-grabbing costumes, masks, face paint, or special effects, and fake blood. The pioneer of that direction was Jay Hawkins, nicknamed Screamin'.
So, it was all fake, so Marilyn Manson didn't sacrifice anybody. And now, listen to this.
The debut album was titled Portrait of an American Family, although initially the working title sounded like the Manson Family album. That was a reference to the sect of Charles Manson, who called his followers the Family. Why did Marilyn decide to change the title? Was he afraid of potential problems with bands and sales? Perhaps. But most likely, the rocker wanted to demonstrate the full scale of the problems he identified by changing the title from the album of one family to a portrait of an entire nation. The album was released in 1994 and was an undoubted success, raising on the current problems of American families. According to the results of sales, over 500,000 copies, the disc became gold. But with his release, in addition to the army of fans, the shocking rocker also had a huge number of critics, represented by the church and the authorities. In 1995, the rock band had their debut national tour.
So, look at this. Now we are at these Sweet Dreams, the cover of Eurythmics. I love very, very much.
Became their first unqualified hit and received platinum status after sales of over 1 million copies. In 1996, a new album, Antichrist Superstar, was released. It was the first album of the Future Triptych, which also included Mechanical Animals and Hollywood, which were released in 1998 and 2000 respectively. All three works are connected. In order to get the closest version to Manson's idea,
I can tell you that my favorite album by Marilyn Manson is Mechanical Animals. And now, let's go to this.
Following his worldview principles, Manson sharply criticizes religious cults, but not religion in general. In 1997, Rolling Stone magazine put a photo of the authentic artist on the cover and named him the best new musician of the year. The video for the single The Dope Show was awarded a Grammy nomination. Experts called the song Great Big White World a classic example of the rocker's immersion in terrible drug dreams. Everything seems focused on the fact that the killers listened to Marilyn Manson's songs.
I was in Chicago, in a hotel room, just going, I know I'm going to get blamed for this.
No matter how well-intentioned he was, his parents, activists, and public figures were looking forward to the opportunity to break his career. The opportunity appeared. On April 20th, 1999, while Marilyn was in the process of creating his magnum opus, the very incident happened. Two students, Eric Harris and Dylan Klebold, staged an armed attack on the Columbine school. Without hesitation, people made him a scapegoat.
This is perhaps the sickest group ever promoted by a mainstream record company.
I definitely can see why they would pick me, because I think it's easy to throw my face on a TV, because I'm, in the end, sort of a poster boy for fear. Because I represent what everyone's afraid of. Because I do and say what I want.
An allegedly found tape with his songs was a base for charge. And it all started with the words, teenagers dressed up like Marilyn Manson.
I watched it live on TV. And I was watching it live and they said there were 5 boys dressed in Marilyn Manson costumes. And then it was 3, and then it was 2. I was watching it live. I remember the day. It was in Chicago.
His concerts were canceled. He lost his earnings, but in the end, he was left alone. A variety of religious and conservative groups and organizations took the musician seriously over time. Out of harm's way, he canceled the tour of his band, Rock is Dead.
Now listen what Marilyn Manson stated. I completely agree with him.
And his cause. People chose to shift all the responsibility from the boy's parents to him. Everybody is responsible for their own actions. Instead of starting to cry,
I can tell you that I completely agree with Marilyn Manson, because I think that killers must take their own responsibility for what they did and don't blame music, movies, books and so on. It's too easy. I completely agree with Marilyn Manson. And now watch at this.
Celebritarian Corporation, and then an art gallery. By the way, Manson paints pictures and has done several exhibitions with them. The following albums, Eat Me, Drink Me, The High End of Low, and Born Villain, did not have the same resounding success, although they regularly hit the music charts. The song Putting Holes in Happiness from the album Eat Me, Drink Me is still considered one of the most subtle, deep, and appreciated works of Manson. The album The High End of Low is described by Manson as having extreme autobiographical content, dealing with the painful breakup of his engagement to Evan Rachel Wood, and as very ruthless, heavy, and violent. On Christmas Day.
About the song Putting Holes in Happiness, I want to stress my personal opinion because I like very much Marilyn Manson's music because it's we can't deny that its music is really amazing, of a very high level, and according to me it's impossible not to love at least the musics. For example, I don't agree with all he writes in his songs about lyrics, but the music is really amazing. And talking about one of my favorite songs, not for the lyrics, because I think that this song had just a mistake, a sentence in the song Putting Holes in Happiness, in which there is referring to a little baby and something really horrifying, but the rest of the song, according to me, was really amazing. I love the music of Putting Holes in Happiness. Here I am. I can tell you that in this album, Marilyn Manson in these pictures, drawings, reminds me the movie The Noon, and I don't think that I am the only one who saw the similarities with this look and kind of makeup with the movie The Noon. I go on.
Blues notes were added to the usual motives. The creation of this image of the musician was inspired by a book about Heliogabalus, a cruel Roman ruler. Johnny Depp gifted him this book for the 16-year anniversary of their friendship. The frontman dedicated the record to the memory of his mother, who died in 2014. The album peaked at number 8 on the Billboard 200.
And then he lost his very beautiful mother, and then he had soon another mourning. His father died on July the 7th, 2017.
2017, his father died.
This was later Marilyn Manson with his album Heaven Upside Down.
The album was recorded with Tyler Bates. At the same time, the artists worked on the music for the American television
I want to
series
stress this.
On September 11th,
I want to make you
the
see
band-
this picture because
Heaven Upside Down. The album was
this is. I remember that night, and I was in this was on. I remember that on December the 7th, 2017, I was in Milan to attend a concert, and the night before on TV, on Italian TV, this was this show with the amazing one of my favorite TV presenters, the Italian Paolo Bonolis, who had in studio and interviewed Marilyn Manson. Marilyn Manson stayed on a chair, but he wasn't still able to walk due to the horrifying accident happened to him on September the 30th, 2017. I tell you the truth. Then soon I will make you see that horrifying accident in which Marilyn Manson could remain paralyzed. And I'm really direct. When I watched that video, I thought that Marilyn Manson was dead. Fortunately, his incredible strength left him without walking for some months, but then he returned stronger than before. And I remember when I watched this interview live on the Italian TV. A very good memory. And he also sang on this chair very, very well. I go on.
Recorded with Tyler Bates. At the same time, the artists worked on the music for the American television series Salem. On September 11th, 2020, the band officially released their 11th studio album, We Are Chaos. The album was recorded in January. Manson is an interesting figure in show business, and many famous directors do not hesitate to invite the rocker as an actor or just play a cameo. The biggest role went to Marilyn Manson in the tragic comedy Party Monster, based on a true story. There, an outrageous celebrity played the role of the travesti diva Christina. Manson also did not avoid the TV series. He also appeared in several episodes of Sons of Anarchy, Once Upon a Time, The New Pope, and Californication, of which he is a fan. In the summer of 2020, the premiere of the superhero film of the 20th Century Fox film studio The New Mutants took place. There, Manson voiced a villain named the Smiling Man.
So, it was good, but what happened? Because things were going finally good for Marilyn Manson. And then, what happened? It happens this.
Terminated by the creators of the multi-episode project Creepshow. Following this, The Hollywood Reporter wrote about the next blow to the rocker's career. It was the termination of the contract with the label Loma Vista Records, which recorded Manson's last two albums. And the reason for all these misfortunes that befell the celebrity was a statement by former girlfriend Evan Rachel Wood. On February 1st, 2021, Evan accused her failed husband of rape and moral harassment. 4 more women followed suit. Marilyn Manson reacted to what was happening on Instagram. Obviously, my art and my life have long been magnets for controversy, but these recent claims about me are horrible distortions of reality. My intimate relationships have always been entirely consensual with like-minded partners. Regardless of how and why, others are now accusing to misrepresent the past that is the truth. The rocker was under round-the-clock security. His family claimed that the allegations of violence shocked Manson, and he was very worried about his safety. And while Marilyn was on...
Then I will return on Marilyn Manson. I won't believe in your eyes. This was Charles Manson when he released the single My World, that is a lovely song. And look, it's incredible. Even in this case, there is the curse of the crow, because, as I told you, the curse of the crow doesn't exist. But this bird always appears in tragic and extraordinary episodes, like, for example, Brandon Lee had been murdered, but he was shooting the movie The Crow. And Edgar Allan Poe was brutally murdered too, and he wrote The Raven. And Charles Manson was keeping a crow. And what about the letter Charles Manson wrote to Marilyn Manson? In that letter that I'm going to read you right now, Uncut, is there a curse or not? When I told you that Marilyn Manson, real name Brian Hugh Warner, risked to remain paralyzed but also to die in this horrifying accident happened while he was on stage on September the 30th, 2017. I really must say that Marilyn Manson had an incredible force to return completely normal and stronger than before. But to make you understand the serious accident, unacceptable on a stage that should be safe for all the artists, I want to show you the accident, because so you will see what really happened to Marilyn Manson. These were tragic moments. Oh my God. These were really tragic moments. Brian Warner looked dead. The stage, they decided to turn the lights off because they feared that the singer could have been dead. Dear followers, friends, viewers, on September 2012, online appeared a letter handwritten by Charles Manson to Marilyn Manson. Here I have the text, Uncut, and I start reading you the whole letter. And about some enigmatic words, I deciphered them. So I start. To Marilyn Manson. It's taken me a long time to get there from where I could touch Marilyn Manson. Now I got a card to play. You may look into my non-profit ATWA and give Manson what you think he's got coming for air, trees, water, and you. Or I will pay Manson what you think Manson got coming. The music has made Manson into Abraxas devil, and I'm sure you would want some of what I got from what I got. He's a far-out balance. Beyond good and bad, right, wrong, what you don't do is what I will do. What you did, sing along and let it roll and say how you saved me a lot of steps. I don't need, it's not a need or a want. Cope. Ghost dancer, slay together. And you are just in my grave. Sunstroker, coronas, corone. You singing from under, with it all standing on me. That's two dump trucks, doing the same as CMF 00007, Charles Manson. Now, this letter immediately all the media wrote that this was a direct threat to Marilyn Manson. It wasn't a good message. But I deciphered very well what Charles Manson wanted to tell Marilyn Manson. So, about the fact when Charles Manson says Abraxas devil, you must know that Abraxas was a humanoid creature with serpentine feet and the head of a rooster. You find this creature in the Gnostic Gospels, and Abraxas claimed to be a custodian of the secret teachings of Jesus Christ. So this Abraxas devil is like with your music, Marilyn Manson, you make a kind of good and evil embrace. And then, when he writes corona, corone, coronas, you must know that these words are in Latin. So, corona, coronas, corone, it may mean corona as a crown, and Marilyn Manson used to wear kinds of crowns on his head. But not only crown, because corona, corone, also means a circle of spectator and fans. In this case, a circle of a kind of spectator and fans that, according to Charles Manson, were Satanists. And Charles Manson wasn't a Satanist at all, because, as I told you in the previous documentaries of mine, I want to remind that if you want to know everything about Cielo Drive massacre, I did all the documentary about Cielo Drive massacre and also a documentary about Charles Manson. Charles Manson wasn't a serial killer, as many people who don't know the true story of Charles Manson, who really Charles Manson was. Many people still nowadays think that Charles Manson was a serial killer like Jack the Ripper, the Monster of Florence, Zodiac, the Monster of Dusseldorf, and so on. Instead, Charles Manson stated that he didn't do two crimes. He always admitted and stated that he was a criminal. Charles Manson stated until his last breath that he didn't commit just two crimes. He has never killed anyone, and he never ordered the horrifying massacre at Cielo Drive. So, he wasn't a serial killer, as many people may think, because he has never killed anyone. With the letters CMF, he claims his rights of his surname, because Marilyn Manson chose for his artistic name Marilyn Manson, Marilyn referring to Marilyn Monroe. Instead, Manson as Charles Manson, considered pure evil. It wasn't the intention of Brian Warner, but this is what Charles Manson thought. So he claimed his rights about his surname Manson, and so he asked Marilyn Manson to make a donation to non-profit movement ATWA, that stands for Air, Trees, Water, Animals, and all the way alive. So I think because Marilyn Manson didn't reply to Charles Manson, and I think in this case that Marilyn Manson did a mistake, because maybe it's true that he chose the surname Manson referring to Charles Manson. So, and he also covered a song of Charles Manson titled My Monkey. My Monkey was a song by Charles Manson, and it's in the first album of Marilyn Manson's band, Portrait of an American Family, released on July the 19th, 1994. And he didn't thank Charles Manson for this song. So it's true that he took that song, and so Charles Manson asked Marilyn Manson to do a donation, because he claimed that donation to ATWA. Otherwise, and with otherwise, there is the threat. If you don't give a part of your money you earned exploiting my surname, he will get what he deserves when he writes, now I got a card to play. You may look into my non-profit ATWA and give Manson what you think he's got coming for air, trees, water, and you. Or I will pay Manson what you think Manson got coming. And then it's a far-out balance beyond good and bad, right or wrong. What you don't do is what I will do. What you did, sing along a lily roll and said how you saved me a lot of steps. I don't need, it's not need or a want. Coped cope, ghost dancers lay together and you're just in my grave. This is the direct threat to Marilyn Manson, but he could save himself from his curse if he did a donation to ATWA. And I'm really surprised because Marilyn Manson was really involved during all his career in charity. So I'm really surprised about the fact that Marilyn Manson didn't give money to this non-profit foundation. And so Marilyn Manson, according to Charles Manson, contributed bringing the surname Manson to his fame as the fiercest serial killer of history ever, inflating his image, distorting reality. And so he was the indirect responsible because he inculcated in the people that he was pure evil, and this influenced also his future possible trials in court. For his request for appeal and review trial, he blamed Marilyn Manson to have influenced medias, to have scared the population that if Charles Manson was at some point put out of jail, it was like making out of jail Jack the Ripper. And Marilyn Manson's band didn't have his same ideas, like environmentalist ideas, and he accused Marilyn Manson to have exploited his surname for his successful career. But and also that the Marilyn Manson's band was Satanist. Instead, Charles Manson was pretty fanatic about Jesus Christ. But in the number, and this is the number I deciphered, because people think that this number at the end of the letter 00007 was because Charles Manson was mad and it was a number for random. Nothing was for random, because Charles Manson was referring to this is the real interpretation, at least my interpretation, but I am one of the most expert in numerology, and this case is an angelic numerology called the double hours, and in this case the triple hours. So you must know then, when you see double numbers on clocks, on the time, if you see very often double numbers are positive numbers and they don't contain any curse, because they are angelic numbers to protect people. In this case, 00 were completely angelic numbers that Charles Manson wanted to tell Marilyn Manson, if you give a donation to my non-profits foundation ATWA, you will have this blessing and not a curse. As many people not expert in esotericism and magic numerology, like for example me, I can decipher it, and I can tell you all the message that he wanted to send to Marilyn Manson, because you must know that I don't believe that Charles Manson was able to enter into the minds of people and making them do what they didn't want to do. Because I completely agree with Marilyn Manson, as I made you see before about Columbine massacre. Every person is responsible for himself. Every killers must take their own responsibility instead to blame somebody else, in that case himself, Marilyn Manson. I totally agree with Marilyn Manson and also with Charles Manson when he stated that he wasn't able to get into people's minds. So when killers did those horrifying massacres, they did them because they wanted to do them. And then it was easy to say Charles Manson entered in my mind and made me do those horrifying massacres. I completely agree with Charles Manson. But Charles Manson, in fact, I want to remind you that also Tex Watson, one of the fiercest member of the so-called Manson family, stated, I take my own responsibility and I don't blame rock music, I don't blame movies, I don't blame Charles Manson. I killed because I wanted to kill and I take my own responsibility. And so, about these numbers. I want to tell you that I think that Charles Manson wasn't a normal person. He had a great intelligence, and I think that he had the power of prophecy, the power of premonition and the power of clairvoyance. So I think that he wanted to send Marilyn Manson this message, because what this number means is what Marilyn Manson got involved later, not giving donations to the foundation of Charles Manson. The number was a blessing, but also a warning. 0000, the angelic meaning was referring to the angel called Vehuya. It was the angel who supports creativity, the will to change, and all the ways to have success, even changing. You can always be a leader, even changing. And even if it can be complicated and difficult, if you are stuck in a situation, this angel will help you, because he's also able to give an incredible energy and power to heal even from the impossible. And I have just shown you the horrifying accident happened to Marilyn Manson in 2017 on September the 30th. It was really horrifying. He really risked to die, and he couldn't walk for some months. And Marilyn Manson had this extraordinary power to heal and to return stronger than before. But also the meaning of the triple mirror time. The secret message is: you are a person always looking for the truth. You like exploring the unknown, and you like to find answers to the mysteries of life, to the deepest mysteries of life. And you are very intelligent. And I tell you the truth, I see Marilyn Manson in this description. But there is also a warning. The last numbers, 0007, and this was the warning. The only dark side of you. Don't stop looking for the light. And if you don't do some good things, you will have a curse. Even if Charles Manson didn't use the word curse, it was indirect. However, Marilyn Manson, in his autobiography, The Long Hard Road Out of Hell, I personally read when I was an adolescent, stated that Marilyn Monroe and Charles Manson didn't have to be considered as completely opposite, because Marilyn Monroe had a dark side, as Charles Manson had a good side, and he was very intelligent. And he had added that Marilyn Monroe wasn't her real name, because her real name was Norma Jean Mortensen Baker. And also Charles Manson. Manson wasn't his real surname because he was a son of certain Colonel Scott who rejected him. And Manson was the surname his stepfather gave him, and then he abandoned him. Because Charles Manson suffered horrifying physical and sexual abuses when he was a child. But also Marilyn Manson suffered brutal abuses in his childhood, and he had a very tormented adolescence. And the horrifying accuse about the Columbine massacre was these allegations were completely false. And I'm going to show you at my personal computer also the proof that Marilyn Manson was absolutely innocent about the Columbine massacre. Because the medias at the time lied, telling that the two killers who did the massacre at the Columbine and then they killed themselves, they were fans of Marilyn Manson and they were wearing t-shirts with the face of Marilyn Manson. And it was absolutely false, because those two killers weren't fans of Marilyn Manson at all, and they even hated his music. And then on February the 1st, 2021, another long road out of hell, when Marilyn Manson has been denounced by his ex-girlfriend Evan Rachel Wood to have had horrifying psychological and sexual abuses. And so Marilyn Manson had been formally accused with these allegations. And then many other women followed Evan Rachel Wood, stating and denouncing Marilyn Manson's sexual and physical terrible abuses. Marilyn Manson now has just returned with his incredible new singles that I really appreciated. I tell you the truth, also Marilyn Manson had this power of prophecy, because I want to remind you the amazing song "Man That You Fear," and also the very great I love that video clip. "Man That You Fear" is what Marilyn Manson is suffering by now. I tell you the truth, I love Marilyn Manson's music. I don't agree with some lyrics, but the music, I think that his music is really amazing. Now we are on September 2024, and I can tell you that, that a month ago Marilyn Manson returned with two incredible singles. The first one, As Sick as the Secrets Within, and then the second single, Rise the Red Flag, that I like very much. I can't deny it. the music, the songs are amazing. And he returned, but it's not over about trials and allegations, because Marilyn Manson, of course, denounced, and then I pass to immediately make you see the latest videos, statements, and what is going on about Marilyn Manson, Evan Rachel Wood, and new allegations. Marilyn Manson denounced Evan Rachel Wood to have convinced many women to slander him and to defame him, telling something that never happened, because he states to be innocent and he never abused any woman. And now he will have also a new trial on June 2025, because Miss Waters denounced Marilyn Manson of horrifying psychological, physical and sexual abuses. He did a great performance on March 2024, when after 5 years of stage he returned with an incredible energy on stage, completely sober. He also lost a lot of weight, is in a very great shape. And I want to remind you that even if in 1996 he signed the contract with the Church of Satan, because his friend Anton LaVey, the founder of the Church of Satan, gave him the title of priest, he stated, "I have never been and I will never be a worshipper of Satan." And also I want to remind you that Marilyn Manson sold more than 50 million records worldwide. And this is the official document. He also helped foundation for the victims of physical and sexual abuses, saying that they have to denounce their abusers. About the Church of Satan that then Marilyn Manson left, he stated this about the Church of Satan and Anton LaVey, that he wasn't necessarily a minister, that was something earlier. He was a friend of mine who is now dead, who was a philosopher that I thought I learned a lot from. And that was a title I was given, so a lot of people made a lot out of it, but it's not a real job. I didn't get paid for it. And the Church of Satan itself later confirmed that Marilyn Manson was never ordained as a minister in their church, stating he was given an honorary priesthood for his real-world accomplishment at that time. Then Marilyn Manson definitely left the Church of Satan. And all these other women with Evan Rachel Wood stated and claimed accusing Marilyn Manson, who was able to settle these people with agreements out of court. But there are also other men who talked about Marilyn Manson closing them in bad girl's room, and that his house was full of true blood. These women also stated that in the beginning Marilyn Manson made them fall in love with him. He was mesmerizing with compliments, gifts, and he was fascinated with his dark humor. But then accusers allege that he plied them with drugs and alcohol, controlled their eating and sleeping habits, and held them captive emotionally and physically until they submitted to his will. If they wanted to leave him, they say he'd threatened. And that they describe him as employing a cult leader mentally that allowed him to hold complete power over them. He was brainwashing them. You know that I didn't believe in Charles Manson brainwashing, and it was also, according to me, a false allegation against Charles Manson, and now Marilyn Manson is in the same situation of the same, in my opinion, ridiculous allegations. Because when you say that Marilyn Manson entered in your mind and you were completely brainwashed, I don't get this. I don't believe it. I think that these are bullshits. I don't tell you that Brian Hugh Warner, well known as Marilyn Manson, is innocent, and I don't tell you that he is guilty. Personally, I tell you that I believe in concrete proofs and not in words without concrete proofs. Or I believe in words provable with concrete proofs. And I pray for justice and truth, whatever it is. And now, the point of the situation about Marilyn Manson right now and all the latest news about music and his trials.
A few weeks ago on August 2nd, Marilyn Manson released his comeback single called As Sick as the Secrets Within through Nuclear Blast Records, his new label. In February of 2021, Manson was dropped by his record label, Loma Vista Recordings, after allegations made by actress Evan Rachel Wood. In a statement at the time, Wood said Manson horrifically abused her for years. Multiple other women made similar allegations against Manson, though through a statement, Manson denied any wrongdoing. He wrote at the time, "Obviously, my art and my life have long been magnets for controversy, but these recent claims about me are horrible distortions of reality. My intimate relationships have always been entirely consensual with like-minded partners. Regardless of how and why, others are now choosing to misrepresent the past. That is the truth." Manson is now involved in multiple lawsuits, but he's elected to continue his music career. He's currently out on the road touring in support of Five Finger Death Punch. After Evan Rachel Wood chronicled her allegations against Manson in a documentary with HBO, Manson sued her for defamation in a case that's ongoing. Then, in May of last year, the judge overseeing the case threw out a portion of Manson's lawsuit pertaining to a forged FBI letter. He alleges that Evan Rachel Wood and her friend Ilma Gore impersonated an FBI agent by, quote, forging and distributing a fictitious letter. The judge reportedly ruled that the probability of Manson prevailing on that allegation was low. His lawyer Howard King noted at the time that the ruling was disappointing but not unexpected. He said, "The court telegraphed this outcome when it refused to consider the bombshell sworn declaration of former plaintiff Ashley Smithline, which detailed how women were systematically pressured by Evan Rachel Wood and Ilma Gore to make false claims about Brian Warner." In February of last year, in a surprising turn, accuser Ashley Smithline recanted her allegations against Manson, writing in a statement, "I succumbed to pressure from Evan Rachel Wood and her associates to make accusations of rape and assault against Manson that were not true." A rep for Evan Rachel Wood denied the allegations. Now, in a new turn of events, Marilyn Manson's attorneys have filed an appeal in that ruling by the judge, throwing out the allegations about the forged FBI letter. According to documents obtained by TMZ, Marilyn Manson's attorneys argue that his claim should have never been thrown out about the forged FBI letter, adding that the letter listed a real FBI agent who never wrote or signed the letter, adding that in a declaration filed by Wood, she didn't deny that the letter was forged. She only denied writing it. They feel the judge didn't consider the recanted allegation of Ashley Smithline when throwing out the forged FBI letter. Manson's cases will likely drag out for quite some time. In the meantime, he's released 2 new singles, As Sick as the Secrets Within and Raise the Red Flag, and he's currently out on tour with...
And now all the news, revelation that will leave you shocked.
Was one of Manson's most high-profile accusers, but now she says the abuse never happened and she was pressured into saying it did by Wood. She claims Wood and another accuser, Esme Bianco, told Smithline that she may just be repressing the memory.
Oh my God! This is Marilyn Manson, Brian Hugh Warner, with his wife, the photographer Lindsay Usich. They got married in 2020. I go on.
Manson was the subject of various Me Too type allegations. Now, Marilyn Manson's best known accuser, the Westworld actress Evan Rachel Wood, actually made a documentary, a 2-part documentary that aired on HBO called Phoenix Rising. This was directed by Wood's friend Amy Berg, and the subject of the entire 2-part documentary was Marilyn Manson. It was a takedown piece of Marilyn Manson. Now, Marilyn Manson was also sued by 4 of his accusers. One of those suits has already been dismissed by the judge. And Marilyn Manson, in March, before the Johnny Depp Amber Heard trial had even started, sued Evan Rachel Wood and her former girlfriend, Ilma Gore, for a range of things, including intentional infliction of emotional distress, computer fraud, defamation, and impersonation. So what the heck is up with all of this? Why is Manson suing? And why do I believe that Marilyn Manson is innocent and is the victim of a Me Too hoax? Let's talk about it. So this all began... Marilyn Manson started dating Evan Rachel Wood. She was 19 when they started dating. She was 18 when they met at the Chateau Marmont, and he was in his late 30s. Now, Evan at this point was already a kind of established actress. She had been working for many years in the industry since childhood. She had already been on TV shows and in movies, and had just starred opposite Edward Norton in a noir film. So Evan's recent statements about Marilyn Manson being controlling and abusive are in contradiction to many statements that she made, not only at the time when she was dating him, but for years after their relationship, even after their relationship had ended. She said in interviews that people would be shocked by how healthy their relationship was, that he gave her complete freedom, that he was not controlling, that he allowed her to be herself. Heart-shaped glasses, that music video was not real sex, and that she loved doing that video. Now, of course, she disavows all of these interviews now, but I'm just putting them out there because they are of some significance. Then in 2016 is the first time that we hear from Evan that she says that she has been sexually assaulted before. She said in a Rolling Stone article that she was assaulted by a significant other and by the owner of a bar. Now, what's interesting is that elsewhere in the same interview, she talks about Marilyn Manson in a different context. Clearly, if you read the whole article, it seems quite evident that Marilyn Manson is likely not the significant other that she's referring to in the article. So that is a bit odd there, but nothing conclusive for sure. But all of this starts to add up after a while. Now, Evan has recently made the claim that the music video Heart-Shaped Glasses was not simulated sex, but that actually Manson raped her on the set of Heart-Shaped Glasses, that what we're seeing in the music video is actually a rape, that she was intoxicated, completely wasted out of her mind, couldn't consent, and also that she felt horrible after she did this. Now, not only she said in multiple interviews that the simulated sex was not real. In fact, I interviewed someone on my channel, on my YouTube channel. She was present in the room at the time that the simulated sex scene was filmed. She was actually one of the few people that were actually in the room itself when it was filmed. And she says that not only was the sex not real, but that she talked to Evan a lot before and after, and Evan was not intoxicated at all, was not only coherent, but was very active in the planning of these scenes, was very enthusiastic about the scenes, and was cheerful before and after, and at no point did anyone seem uncomfortable, Vanessa says.
Well, I think everybody knew that it was very much, simulated, and both of them had underwear on.
But there was nothing that you saw with your eyes that to you, like they're having sex?
Not at all.
Did it appear that she was being pressured or coerced?
No, not at all. They both were very, very much into it, and they would converse with each other in between shots to see what they wanted to do next. And I was speaking to both of them, and there was jokes being made, yelling across each other to set and everything like that.
Now, interestingly, Vanessa also was friends with Manson and with Evan Rachel Wood. She said she never saw any abuse, and she said that Manson was never abusive to her or predatory toward her, nor did she notice it in his behavior with any other women. All right? And this was someone who was pretty close to Manson.
In Marilyn Manson's lawsuit, you can see the actual letter.
Evan and her co-conspirator Ilma Gore, they typed up a fake FBI letter. They put a real FBI agent's name on there, but it was a fake letter alleging that Marilyn Manson was under investigation for these crimes and that Evan Rachel Wood was an essential witness. And she used this, she filed this fake FBI letter in family court as further evidence of why she needed to go to Tennessee with the child.
So there's a whole subplot that I didn't kind of clip out, but she has a kid by this other guy that she was married to before Manson. Really? Yeah. And the kid's dad likes Manson, and she was trying to say that she was trying to get the kid, she wanted to move to Nashville or something, so she was trying to find a reason to get the kid away from the dad, and she was using this as a way to say, oh, I'm in fear of my life, so I have to flee, and I need to take my son with me.
Interesting.
You know what else she did with this fake FBI letter? And by the way, Manson's team verified with the FBI that it's fake. What else did Evan do with this fake FBI letter? She and her co-conspirator, Ilma Gore, distributed it to the women that they tried to recruit to go after Manson as a way of inducing the women to join with them, as if to say, look, don't worry, you can say bad things about this guy because, hey, he's already being under investigation by the FBI, and he's under investigation. He's a bad guy. And so, of course, then it made it that much easier for these women to join in with their lies because they felt that they were taking a bad guy down. And when I say Evan recruited a lot of women, in order to explain, we need to talk about Ilma Gore, Evan Rachel Wood's co-conspirator. Ilma Gore, she is an habitual hoaxer. She has made up a lot of stories. She has ripped people off. I interviewed one of them on my channel. She's also a gender activist. And so she and Evan Rachel Wood began.
As sick as the secrets within, and the reception has been generally positive from fans. The video racked up over 1 million views in the first 3 days. And when Five Finger Death Punch announced that Marilyn Manson would be supporting them on their summer tour, there were questions about what those performances would look like from Manson, with many Manson fans in the past expressing disappointment with his live shows. It's said that Manson is now sober, and he appears to have lost weight, and many fans in attendance have been giving positive reviews. And by the way, if you've seen him live recently, let us know in the comments what you think about the show. During Manson's performance last night in Holmdel, New Jersey, the shock rocker took a moment out of his set to seemingly respond to the ongoing legal saga of the last few years. He told the crowd, "The last time they tried to kill me, I made a record called Holywood. before he launched into a performance of Disposable Teens. Manson's album Hollywood was released after he faced intense backlash in the wake of the Columbine High School massacre. Rumors circulated that the perpetrators of this horrific incident were wearing Marilyn Manson shirts and were big fans of his music. Eminem's classic single The Way I Am references this situation, and Manson was featured in the music video. But it turned out that neither of those things were true. The perpetrators weren't wearing Manson shirts, and it turned out they also weren't even fans of his music. Here's the moment from the show last night when Manson made the statement.
Now, finally you can watch Marilyn Manson. This is Marilyn Manson live after 5 years of stage because all these allegations. Go!
I've been trying to kill me. I made a record called Hollywood.
Will continue to play out. And so from the videos of the performances, you can tell that Manson has lost a lot of weight. He does appear to be sober. And the performances look good. You have a very strong band around him as well. And so we'll see how this all plays out, but it's clear that he's getting a positive reception from the fans who've been in attendance at those shows. On that current Five Finger Death Punch tour, you've also got...
Personally, I believe in concrete proofs and not only in words, because words can be lies. Instead, facts don't lie. The thing for sure is that Marilyn Manson showed an incredible return and energy ever seen before. And I think that all these videos talk by themselves. I always pray for justice and truth, whatever it is. So, thank you so much. See you soon. Stay tuned.